Good day, Dr. Arso. Today, my group mates and I will be presenting on the parental socialization within Asian and Western cultural contexts. So, I'll move on to the introduction and I'll pass the thing to Sarvina.
Culture has a significant influence on our lives, impacting how we view the world and how we nurture our children. Across culture, humans can differ in several aspects of socio-emotional and cognitive functioning. Parents can use their parenting skills and practices to socialize their children and function properly in their society. Children become valuable and meaningful members of the society through socialization, which is a never-ending process of interaction within the society. It depends on the cultural background, which is to be productive member of a society. This socialization of youngsters can be successful if they are encouraged to adopt behaviors and personalities that are deemed appropriate in their community. In this case, it is argued that parenting styles and methods of discipline will have an impact on children's social conduct. Parenting styles refer to the unique action which parents do not observe their children, such as detecting child's location. I will pass the slides to Kartika.
For the theories, Vygotskys sociocultural theory is very well related to parental socialization. This theory examines society's significant contributions to individuals' growth, and the relationship between individuals' development and the culture in which they live in is thoroughly focused in this theory. According to Vygotskys' sociocultural theory, wide socialization contexts such as participation in social and cultural events, as well as direct collective or directed learning in which more mature people serve as cultural leaders and aid youngsters in solving challenges, impact the process of human growth. Researchers studying the results of social and cultural changes from typical rural villages to societies with more complex and organized social activities in Asia discovered that youths who engage in formal education and urbanized activities may exhibit new ways of thoughts, which is pretty much consistent with the Vygotskian viewpoint. So I'll pass on the next discussion to Farhana.
So as for the comparison regarding children's self-regulation growth, it is observed that self-regulation trends indicate caregivers' background of responsiveness and parenting activities as basis of regulation. Positive parental guidance has been found to play a vital role to the advancement of children's self-regulation. Parenting behaviors are expressed in social environment in which is considered necessary for individuals to self-regulate, particularly where personal and emotional interests are at difference. Furthermore, parental strategies influence children's evaluation of their interactions, as well as recognition of optimal pacing to control their feelings and the selection and execution of behaviors. Often described as group goals, it is intrinsically tied to attending to it and meeting societal norms, laws, situations. This is viewed as support for self-regulation and a means to provide children with clear sense of belonging to the community. In comparison, in cultures that value autonomy and self-regulation, external laws and responsibilities can be seen as kind of authoritarian authority to compromise independent self-regulation. Cross-cultural analysis also shown in Asian society The control of attitudes, desire, and cognition is traditionally subordinated to the maintenance of social stability. While in Western culture, self-regulation seeks to increase the individual's autonomy and opportunities to achieve personal goals. The position suggests different perspective on the self as an individual that evolves either in close connection and interconnectedness with others or separate, distinct entity. In the first example, the ego is malleable and its actions are seen as intertwined with the actions of others in order to uphold cultural ethics. The self is regarded as individual and defined in the second phase, representing itself on achieving its own goals, to the focus on its distinction rather than teamwork among selves. Socialization goals and behaviors of Western and Asian mothers with children under the age of 2. Both discovered that Western mothers base their effort primarily on providing their children with opportunities for individual achievement and autonomy growth, whereas Asian mothers put a high importance on their children growing up to be respectable individuals who know how to act in society. So for Western culture, the parents favored educational methods that provided their children with learning opportunities to achieve their socialization goals. Whereas in addition, they organize learning scenarios explicitly by using recommendations and approvals to guide children to behave in certain way, while giving them a lot more flexibility to decide on what to do. Furthermore, authoritative parenting style help to encourage emotion regulations of children and adolescents in Western contexts. Emotional adaptation, encouragement in the Asian context is accomplished to a more authoritarian style. So for Asian context, they are more regulated, empowering, and punishing. For Asian parents, they believe that by punishing and giving a stern saying or advice to your kid is way much more effective compared to the Western culture where children centers such as inductive thinking is allowed. For Asian culture as well, they have preventive self-regulation has been found to be effective in cross-cultural studies, whereas for Western culture, a stronger self-regulation emphasis on promotion. So in this context, it's trying to say that children who has curfew, who has rules to follow in Asian context is way much more disciplined and has been seen in studies to be more effective compared to in Western culture where they allow you to do whatever the child wants. As for the third point, the control of attitudes, impulses, and cognition is traditionally subordinated to the maintenance of social unity. So in Asian culture, it's trying to say that whatever in your cultural context is saying or is doing, you have to follow the same way. As in, let's say they follow the rule of you have to eat on the table, so all of them has to eat on the table. It's again another point for Western culture where self-regulation seeks to increase individual autonomy and opportunity to achieve personal goals. So for Western context, they find self-regulation as a way for them to pursue in something to achieve their goals. For the fourth point, children are socialized against secondary influence where self is adjusted, whereas for Western culture, children are socialized for primary influence, meaning the environment is mixed, but the individual ego is permanent in this context. For Asian culture, they always had to follow whatever that has been done by the elderly, and later on, whatever they are or whatever they want to do comes after that, compared to the Western culture where they are the main person in their picture. So the child can do or can pursue on what they want to do or what they want to pursue. And for the last point, Asian culture, they teach them to cultivate self-criticism and self-reflection as a way of transforming themselves and properly serving their responsibilities to their families and comparison group. So in Asian culture, they actually teach you on how to self-reflect on a mistake you have done or anything which is wrong that you have done. So let's say you have committed, you have broken a plate. So they make you go and sit in the room or lock you in the room. Or if you don't finish your homework, they make you write an essay of why you are not writing your homework. Whereas for Western culture, they allow their children to display negative feelings like frustrations or indignation because they believe it will help them to grow as self-assured individuals capable of understanding and expressing their own needs. So in this term, Western culture kids, their parents always allow them to say out their frustrations, say out what they don't like on that terms, and whatever it is that comes with it together. So I'll pass the next point to Kartika.
For these suggestions, based on the results from various research and findings, the suggestion for this topic would be to encourage parental socialization towards their kids, especially those parents who exhibit authoritarian style towards their children, so that this will make the children to be exposed to new things around them. As they explore, they learn a lot of things. As mentioned earlier in the Vygotskyan theory, society and what they learn from the culture, the society and from what they learn from the culture will definitely have a positive impact towards the children's development. So I'll pass on the next thing to Sarvina.
To be concluded, findings from a variety of research programs have indicated considerable cross-culture differences in children's and adolescents' attitudes, emotion, and behaviors. Socializations play an important role in mediating cultural influence on human development, particularly in areas characterized by social initiative and self-control. Culture norms and values guide the social interaction processes in the family, the peer group, and other socialization settings, which in turn affect the patterns and outcome of individual development. We believe that parents will understand the importance of socialization for children and encourage this process. Thank you.